I'm Cletus Phillips, City Manager for the City of Newnan, the City of Homes. On March the 25th, the evening of, we knew there was a forecast for some serious weather. As usual, I contacted Ray Norton, our Public Works Director. Ray, you ready? He said, of course, boss. We're ready. We got the chainsaw sharpened. Gas in the vehicles, we're ready. Tornado warning sirens went off right around midnight. We started watching the weather, seeing meteorologist Glenn Burns talk about the debris path that was shown on the Doppler radar right over Newnan High School. That's when I knew we had some pretty serious destruction, but we didn't know the extent of it.
My name's Ray Norton. I'm the Public Works Director for the City of Newnan, Georgia. Just after midnight on March 26th, I received a phone call from my city manager. And he told me that he'd been watching the news, that there was a tornado on the ground in Newnan, in downtown. I headed to Newnan, and the feelings that I had were sickening of some of the stuff that I was seeing.
And I remember him telling me, boss man, we're gonna need help. And I'm like, what do you mean, help? We can handle pretty much any storm that's ever been thrown our way. He goes, no, we're gonna need help on this one. That's when I knew something was different.
All the previous planning that we had done, it did not prepare us for the devastation that we'd seen.
There was shock. You never expect your community to get hit by an EF4 tornado.
After the sun come up, you could really see the resilience in the community, the volunteers that come out, everybody wanting to help their neighbor.
The response was incredible. We had so many volunteers, so many citizens, so many churches, business organizations that just wanted to help. We had to have special coordination efforts to align all of that volunteer assistance, so we really did come together well. Interesting story as to how GMC got involved with this effort. I've known GMC and the team at GMC because they've done work for the City of Newnan in the architectural and engineering world. The morning after the tornado, my phone rang. There was a gentleman, Andy Pippin, a business development director for GMC. He called me twice. And I was thinking to myself, Andy, I'm busy. Finally, Andy sent me a text that called me. And when he called me, he goes, Cletus, you do know that we have a disaster recovery division. And I said, I do recall. Why aren't they here?
I'm Robert Ramsey, Executive Vice President of GMC's Disaster Recovery Division. I received a call from City Manager Cletus Phillips on March 26th, who said, hey, we need your help. And I said, okay, let me see if I can find a hotel room. Cletus then says, don't worry about a hotel. You get to town, you can stay at my house. So I immediately left the event I was at, packed some bags, showed up at Newnan the night of the 26th, which was the day after the tornado. The amount of damages that I saw in the city was devastating to me. It was a tornado. However, the damage that I saw in the downtown area reminded me as if we had walked into a hurricane setting. Just the magnitude of damages throughout each portion of the downtown area that we rode in.
There were significant damages to trees, structures, and utilities. Water lines that were broke, numerous electrical lines, poles that were snapped, gas lines.
We even lost power and even backup power at our water treatment facility. So it was very extensive damage all the way around.
When we walked into the City of Newnan for that first meeting, as you can imagine, we walk into the middle of chaos. The community is trying to recover. The community is also trying to wrap their head around what's happened. So a lot of times we walk in as a voice of reason to just do a reset, relax, let's figure out how we get through this process. We discussed a lot of things of the FEMA process, the recovery process, removing of debris, opening up streets, DOT's involvement. One of the things in FEMA recovery that you have to meet is a threshold of damages within inside of the community. So we began investigating damages, dollars, to make sure we was able to meet a FEMA threshold. That was the beginning of our meetings with the government officials to develop a plan around how do we move forward for the FEMA process and getting to a declaration for recovery.
GMC, Robert and his team were really instrumental in actually guiding us, for our utility repair, our infrastructure repair, the debris management, what was within FEMA guidelines, what we could do, what we couldn't do. And those things are very important when you're looking for reimbursement.
We had to jump through a few hurdles because we didn't have those emergency contracts in place. But with GMC's assistance, I think we brought in a FEMA legal counsel to help us figure out how we could do some emergency procurement. We had done some FEMA recovery, FEMA processes before, but nothing anywhere near this scale. And we knew that it was going to take a lot of expertise. We knew that the GMC team was well prepared, tremendous amount of experience, crossed their T's, dotted their I's. It was a really, really, really smooth process.
It actually took a lot of pressure off of myself and my team so we could focus solely on the disaster recovery of the infrastructure, the debris management, actually getting the residents the help that they needed versus worrying about the paperwork or all the administrative tasks that GMC's team provided.
Very quickly, we were starting to receive some reimbursements that I thought would take 12, 18 months or longer. I think we were able to recover, over like 92.5% of all of our expenses spent on storm response. Incredible. I can honestly say that without GMC's assistance, we would probably still be in the recovery efforts to some degree.
I was very pleased with the response from the FEMA team, the state team, and the recovery efforts were very smooth in this case, and I contributed a lot of that to the City of Newnan. Every piece of document that our team needed, we were provided with no questions asked. It helped us speed through the process much faster because of that.
Here we are about 3 years after the storm, and I'm pleased to say that we've had a really, really good recovery. The city has pretty much completed our inspection processes. I think we have any existing tornado case houses remaining, which is excellent 3 years after. As far as the tree vegetation, we have an entity called Plant Newnan that is focused on re-establishing our tree canopy. We know it's going to be, many years before we see that beautiful tree canopy, but you have to start somewhere. Newnan High School, which was a total rebuild, is planning to be completed in July 2024. And our infrastructure is in good shape, so I think a 3-year recovery to the point we are is pretty impressive.
GMC's relationship with Newnan has grown only stronger through the disaster recovery process because we became an extension of Newnan's city. We are committed to serving them each and every time they need our assistance.
Newnan is in a better place now since the storm. We've actually developed a relationship with Robert and his team. I've asked Robert to come up with a hazard mitigation plan for the City of Newnan so we can be on the forefront in the planning phase of it. So in the event that a storm or disaster happens in Newnan again, we're ready.
We always think about disasters and we know they can happen, but sometimes it's almost out of sight, out of mind. And I think once they happen, it brings about a different thought process to how do we move forward from here. If this, then what, is what I always ask. And I think Newnan is now in a place of what happens if we have a disaster.
Have that stuff in place before the storm hits. So if and when it does, you're ready.
The main thing I would say for anyone is just simply be willing to reach out, be willing to listen, and be willing to learn and adapt, because it can happen to you.
I believe everybody is put on this earth to serve people in some capacity. This is the capacity we choose to do it. When a storm happens, you as a community have to continue to serve your citizens. We handle the paperwork for you so you don't have to do that portion of it. Regardless of your size, community, reach out. We can help.